Johnny and Mackie. With a bit of courage, a pinch of trouble, and a golden secret or two, even simple boys can outsmart the cleverest grown-ups. Once upon a time, far beyond the Red Sea, past the wooden mountain and near the glass hill, in the kingdom of King Compit, stood a tiny, tumble-down village. There lived a poor man who had nothing in the wide world but wretched poverty and a house full of hungry children. He and his boys would trudge into the whispering woods, gathering sticks and kindling, scraping by for a crust of bread or a patch for their clothes. Many a night, the children sobbed themselves to sleep on the stove, while their father's heart broke like dry twigs at the thought of their empty bellies. But there was no other way, so they carried their burden of poverty from day to weary day. One afternoon, as they wandered deep into the forest, they spied a nest high atop a mighty oak. The oldest boy scrambled up and found 7 beautiful eggs, which he quickly brought down to his brothers. The children were overjoyed.
Thank heavens, even for this. We'll get something for these in the town. Just don't break one of them,
his father said with a weary smile. The very next day, their father set out for the bustling market. Stalls overflowed with apples, ribbons, and copper kettles, while the air was full of cheerful voices and the jingle of coins. Clutching the precious eggs to his chest, he slipped quietly through the crowd, searching for the merchant who might trade a fair price for his humble treasure.
"And what do you want for them?"
asked the merchant, eyeing the eggs with curiosity.
I leave it to you. Whatever you give, I'll accept.
The merchant gave him a small coin for each, and the poor man was grateful. But after he left, the merchant's 2 sons, Johnny and Mackie, ran to the cellar and started to play with the eggs. Boys being boys, one egg tumbled to the floor and crack! Not a yolk inside, but a glittering golden ball. The merchant, astonished, broke all the remaining eggs, and in each found a golden sphere instead of a yolk. The merchant's hands shook, not because he was surprised, but because he was already counting golden coins in his head. He dashed into the street to find the poor man, who was luckily not far away.
"Good man, I like those eggs. If you can bring me more, I'll pay you handsomely."
He pressed gold coins into the poor man's hand as an advance. Overjoyed, the man hurried home. His children danced with delight, dreaming of a feast at last. Day after day, they searched in vain, until finally they spied a snake slithering from the nest, carrying an egg in its jaws. The family followed the snake through the forest until it vanished beneath a withered tree. The father chopped off the snake's head, hauled its body out, and inside the hollow found a pile of golden eggs. They brought them to the merchant, who paid them a fortune. But the merchant wanted more.
"If you catch the bird that lays these eggs and bring me nest and all, I'll give you 2 wagons of rye, one drawn by 4 oxen, the other by 4 horses, and all the money you want."
The poor man, pockets jingling and hope in his heart, hurried home with the news. The next morning, he sent his oldest son to catch the magical bird, but the bird flitted away before the boy could reach the nest. He sent the second son, who crept ever so quietly, but the bird was quicker still. The third tried his luck, but not even he could outsmart the clever creature. At last, the father decided to try himself. Instead of rushing in, he waited until nightfall. By the light of the moon, he sat beneath the oak, heart pounding as he listened to the sounds of the sleeping forest. Pretending to doze, he watched and waited. At midnight, as if sleepwalking, he carefully climbed the tree, tied the bird's wings, and brought down the nest. Satisfied, he set it aside and drifted off to sleep beneath the stars. At dawn, he climbed up to fetch the nest, but, oh no, the bird and nest were gone. He searched everywhere, calling softly, until at last he found the tied bird hiding nearby. With a shout of triumph, he hurried to the merchant, who was so thrilled he nearly leapt out of his skin. The merchant loaded up one wagon with 4 gleaming horses, another with 4 sturdy oxen, and filled both with golden rye. He paid the poor man handsomely and sent him home, where the whole family rejoiced. From that day, they lived in a fine house, owned lush fields, and wanted for nothing. Over the years, the merchant hung the nest with its tame bird above his bed. Each day, the bird laid a golden egg. The merchant cracked the eggs and collected gold for many years, becoming richer than any king. One holiday, as he lounged in bed, he saw writing on the bird's left wing, "Whoever eats my heart shall become a king, and whoever eats my left wing shall find a sack of gold under his pillow every night." The greedy merchant wasted no time. He killed, cleaned, and prepared the bird, ordering the cook,
Be careful. If even one piece is lost, you'll pay dearly.
He, his wife, and the boys went to church. The day was bitterly cold, and the boys, unable to stand the chill, sneaked home to the fire. They begged the cook for food, and while she was distracted, Mackie snatched the bird's heart, and Johnny grabbed the left wing. Both gobbled them down. When the family returned, the merchant stormed into the kitchen, counted the pieces, and noticed the missing heart and wing. In a rage, he accused the cook, who confessed the boys had eaten them. He struck her dead, and the boys, hearing the commotion, fled into the wild world. The night swallowed them, hearts pounding, not daring to look back. For the first time in their lives, Johnny and Mackie were truly alone. Fear and sadness pressed close, and the forest seemed huge and endless. They ran as fast as their legs could carry them, finally stopping at dusk in a dewy meadow. Mackie looked around and said,
"Johnny, let's sleep in that haystack tonight. There's nowhere else to go."
They crawled into the hay and slept soundly. Outside, the night was thick with dew and strange forest noises, but in the haystack, it felt safe and warm, almost like home. For the first time since their escape, the boys dreamed of better days. In the morning, Johnny searched for water while Mackie hunted for his cap. The pale dawn crept over the meadow as Mackie pawed through the straw, still sleepy and a little grumpy about the night. Suddenly, his hand struck something odd and lumpy. He pulled out a bulging purse from beneath Johnny's head, and inside it, to his amazement, were gold coins, shining bright as the sunrise. Mackie gasped.
"What in the world? Gold, real gold!"
He breathed, eyes wide. Just then, Johnny called from the edge of the meadow.
Did you find my cap, Mackie?
"Oh, just about."
Mackie replied, quickly hiding the purse in his pocket, his mind racing with wonder and questions. They set off again, soon arriving hungry in a village inn. The scent of roasting meat and fresh bread made their stomachs rumble. Mackie ordered a fine meal for them both. As they waited, Johnny leaned in and whispered,
How will we pay for all this?
Mackie just grinned and replied,
"Don't worry, brother. I've got a few coins left."
After eating, Mackie paid with gold coins, astonishing the innkeeper. The man's eyes went wide with surprise, but Mackie only winked and led Johnny out into the sunshine. Wherever they went, Mackie always found a sack of gold under Johnny's pillow. Eventually, he showed the fortune to his brother, but pretended he'd simply found it by luck. The brothers traveled far and wide until they reached a grand city ruled by a king. They took a room in a fine inn and lived like princes. One morning, as the sun shone through their window, Johnny looked out across the rooftops and sighed.
Brother, do you think we'll ever see home again?
Mackie grinned and stretched.
"As long as there's good food and soft beds, I don't mind where we are."
Johnny, who loved music and painting, soon became a master of both. His playing was so enchanting that even the birds hushed to listen. Every night, wherever Johnny slept, gold appeared beneath his pillow. Sometimes, when he could not afford the grand inn, he found shelter with a kindly old widow who lived on the edge of the city. Each morning, the widow would find a sack of gold coins under Johnny's pillow, and without a word, she tucked them away in a chest, saving them for the day he might need them. One day, the king's daughter rode by in a splendid carriage, and Johnny's music moved her so deeply, she stopped and listened. The next day, the king summoned Johnny to teach his daughter, which he gladly did. The king liked Johnny, and the princess liked him even more. Meanwhile, in a neighboring kingdom, the king died, and by tradition, the new king would be chosen by throwing the crown high into the air. The one upon whom it landed would rule. Mackie was eager to witness it. Mackie grabbed Johnny's arm and said,
Johnny, let's go see the crowning.
Johnny shrugged and replied,
All right.
At noon, the crown was tossed into the air and it landed right on Mackie's head. The crowd gasped and nobles rushed to see him, but, thinking him too young, they dismissed him. Mackie and Johnny fled, but Mackie couldn't let it go. The next day, as soon as the sun was up, he turned to his brother.
Let's try again, Johnny.
Johnny hesitated, then nodded.
I'm not sure, but fine.
Once more, the crown landed on Mackie, and once more, they were chased away. On the third day, Mackie went alone, and for the third time, the crown landed on his head. This time, the crowd accepted him. He was crowned king in great splendor. Johnny stayed behind, teaching the princess music and painting. Every night, wherever he slept, gold appeared beneath his pillow. Eventually, a palace maid noticed all the gold and told the court witch. It didn't take long for the witch to discover the truth. Johnny's luck came from a magical bird's wing he'd eaten as a boy. She plotted to steal it back, and one night gave Johnny a sleeping potion, then made him vomit up the wing, which she gave to the princess. From that night, the gold appeared under the princess's pillow, not Johnny's. But the witch's schemes were not over. One night, she snatched Johnny away as he slept and carried him far, far across mountains and seas, leaving him stranded on a lonely island. Johnny woke, bewildered and alone, with angry waves pounding the shore. He hugged his knees and shivered.
How did I end up here? Mackie, where are you now?
He called softly into the wind. Suddenly, a storm split the sky, and a fiery dragon rose from the sea. The dragon's eyes burned as he swooped low over the water, his voice booming.
How dare you set foot here? I'll gobble you up.
Please, mighty dragon. I don't know how I got here. Spare me!
For a moment, the dragon glared at him, smoke curling from his nostrils. Then, with a snort, his anger faded.
Pluck a feather from my wing and wish yourself wherever you want to be.
Johnny wished himself back at the palace, but each night while he slept, the witch crept in, stole the feather, and whisked him back to the lonely island. This happened twice. Each time he escaped, he woke to find himself stranded once more. But on the third morning, exhausted and desperate, Johnny followed a sweet scent through the tangled woods. There, among the rocks, he stumbled upon a beautiful apple tree, its golden fruit shining in the morning light. He bit into an apple and, pop! Huge horns sprang from his head. They were so heavy he could barely move. Then he found a pear tree, ate a pear, and the horns vanished, leaving him more handsome than ever. He gathered apples and pears into his bag. The next time the dragon appeared, Johnny poured out his troubles. The dragon considered his words and finally spoke.
Take one last feather, but be wise. You lost your gold when you gave up the wing. Your brother ate the heart and became king. Do what you must.
Johnny sighed and wished himself back to the kind old widow who had sheltered him many times. She was delighted to see him and gave him a chest full of gold. Johnny kept half, gifting the rest to her. That day, the royal family went to church. Johnny, dressed as a fruit seller, set up his cart outside, filling the air with the sweet, irresistible scent of shining apples and golden pears. People from all over the city gathered, Even the princess, the witch, and the palace maid hurried over, drawn by the promise of something magical. Each customer begged for a taste, eager to try the fruit that promised to make anyone 100 times more beautiful. Johnny smiled, but the apples did not come cheap. He demanded a king's ransom for each, and they paid gladly. Before letting them take their prizes, Johnny leaned in and gave careful instructions.
Remember, you must eat your apple at midnight, all alone, with your head poking through the window bars. Only then will its magic work.
That night, as the clock struck 12, the princess, the witch, and the maid all hurried to their rooms, poked their heads out the window, and bit into their apples. And horns sprouted from their heads, so large they couldn't pull themselves back inside. When all remedies failed, the king sent a message far and wide. Whoever could cure the princess would earn her hand and half the kingdom. Johnny, disguised as a doctor, came to the castle and asked to see the cursed ones. First, Johnny whipped the witch soundly, then the maid, and finally the princess, though hers was gentle and quick. Next, he gave each of them a bath with special herbs. One by one, they confessed their misdeeds. The witch first, then the maid, and finally, the princess, who wept.
Oh, I had a dear teacher, my beloved Johnny.
At that, Johnny's heart melted. He forgave her, gave her a slice of magic pear, and she recognized him at once. As soon as she ate, the horns vanished, and she was more beautiful than ever. He had beautiful clothes prepared for each of them, and brought them before the king, who hardly recognized his radiant daughter. The king promised Johnny her hand in marriage and half the kingdom, and a great wedding was held. When the festivities were at their height, Johnny stood and told the whole tale, how he had suffered, what he had lost, and who he truly was. Suddenly, a king leapt from the crowd.
Brother, do you know me?
Johnny looked, and who should it be but Mackie, his long-lost brother, now a king himself. They embraced, laughed, and rejoiced, and ruled their kingdoms side by side, proof that from magic, mischief, and music, true happiness may still be found. And so ends the wondrous tale of Johnny and Mackie, quick-witted, quick-footed, and forever quick to forgive.